The Persian language is spoken across a large area of southwestern Asia, including most of Iran, Afghanistan, and Tajikistan, by a worldwide population of over 100 million people. Its history stretches back over 6,000 years to an unrecorded but reconstructed ancestral language known as Proto-Indo-European. It's therefore related to most of the languages of Europe, Southwest Asia, and Northern India, such as English, Spanish, Russian, Hindi, and Kurdish. In the time since these all diverged, the language has changed in predictable ways, which we can group together into a number of periods. In this video, I'll walk you through its evolution, highlighting each of 6 key periods in the history of the language. To do this, we'll be following a list of 22 words, which I'll read aloud in a reconstructed pronunciation. I'll also describe all the major sound changes to occur between each version of the list, which will be shown on screen, written in sound change notation, a sort of special code showing what changes to what under which conditions. If you know how to read this, here are the conventions I've used, but if not, just listen to what I say and watch their effects on each stage of the word list. Note that for this video I'll be using the letter Y in the sound changes to represent the sound it makes in English rather than the IPA sound, just because of other conflicting notation for Indo-Iranian languages. Also, while I have tried to put these changes in the order they occurred, the documentation around this is a little sparse, so be aware that the ordering within each period may be a little off. Before we start, I'd like to let you know about the other 4 languages I've looked at in this series. Make sure to check them out after this video, and suggest any more you'd like to see in the comments. So, here is our initial list of words in Proto-Indo-European. The identities of the laryngeals, the H's with the little numbers, aren't known, but for this video I'll pronounce the first as a glottal stop, and the second and third as plain and labialized pharyngeal fricatives respectively. Robs, esti, ruentos, weser, quetwores, queculum, decem, rodontos, deivos, vulcos, yequer, metens, nomen, persceti, perstros, srautos, logsner, quietos, suesor, ryrgios, sorwal, gwenrs. The move to Proto-Indo-Iranian gives us a number of changes, some of which happen in other branches and others of which don't. The colouring of the E vowel next to laryngeals occurs in most branches, and we also see satomization, the affrication of the palatal velars, and merger of the plain and labialized forms, which is shared with Balto-Slavic. L and R merge in almost all cases, and we see the so-called Ruki rule, which retracts sibilants after certain sounds. Syllabic nasals vocalize, as do most syllabic laryngeals, and there are a number of changes affecting the stop system, such as palatalization of velars, and clusters of a stop and a second laryngeal becoming an aspirate. O lengthens in open syllables, low vowels merge to A, and the laryngeals merge into a single sound, which I'll pronounce as a glottal stop. Abs, asti, waatas, wasser, chadwaras, chakram, dacha, dantas, daiwas, Warkas, Yakar, Maas, Nama, Perchati, Pershtas, Srautas, Raukshna, Chiatas, Swasar, Erchas, Su'ar, Jans. Into Proto-Iranian, most changes relate to either the sibilants or stops. The primary affricates, which descend from Proto-Indo-European palatal velars, become alveolar, the voiceless aspirates become fricatives, and the voiceless stops do the same before a consonant. Voiced aspirates merge with plain voiced stops, and S debuccalizes to H. We also see the word for tooth changed to a different declension class. Afsh, Asti, Wa'ata, Wahar, Chathwara, Chahram, Datsa, Danta, Daiwah, Warkah, Yakar, Ma'ah, Nama, Persati, Pershtah, Rautah, Rauchna, Shiatah, Khwahar, Ershah, Hu'ar, Jan. Old Persian was the language of the Achaemenid Empire, which existed in the third quarter of the first millennium BC. The changes of the period included loss of the laryngeal, giving various results in different positions, loss of H word finally, epenthesis of a vowel before syllabic R, and shift of the alveolar affricates into dental fricatives, and then of the voiced one to Z. We also see a change affect the word for spring, which appears to have an irregular gain of vowel length in the second syllable. However, the Old Persian word does not actually descend directly from this Proto-Iranian term, but rather from an inflected form, the collective. This actually dates all the way back to Proto-Indo-European, and could perhaps best be translated as springtime. We also see the word for water change its declension class. Note that for this stage, the sequences UV and IY represent sounds in the written dialect, but not the one ancestral to later Persian, so I'll pronounce them as the latter. Abish, Asti, Wata, Wahar, Chathwara, Chahram, Datha, Danta, Daiwa, Warka, Yakar, Maha, Nama, Persati, Pershta, Rauta, Rauchna, Shiata, Khwahar, Ersha, Huar, Jan. The changes into Middle Persian will bring the language to be far more recognisable to modern Persian speakers. We see lenition of voiced stops to fricatives, creation of L from R fricative clusters, monophthongization of diphthongs, loss of semivowels after consonants, umlaut of A, merge of the schwa with high vowels, loss of th and word final vowels, and lenition of voiceless stops. The Old Persian word for tooth gains an N in this period. This is actually an ancient part of the word, which surfaced only in non-nominative cases, but the collapse of the case system likely drove this word to take the N in its surviving form, and it may even descend from the accusative form itself, as often happened in the Romance languages. The word for bear also gained an initial ch, but this remains unexplained. Ab, ast, wad, wahar, chahar, char, dah, dandan, dew, gurg, jagar, mah, naam, pursad, pusht, rod, roshan, shad, khwahar, hirs, khwar, zan. Finally, the move to modern Persian involves the shift of initial W to B, epenthesis to break up word initial clusters, loss of final G, loss of the khw sound, and a change to the vowel system to make the main distinction one primarily of quality rather than length. For this video, I'll be using the Iranian standard dialect, so there are also a number of changes to differentiate this from other dialects. These include the shift of w to v, shift of mid-vowels further from a length-based contrast, merger of r and the foreign sound q, and some simple vowel changes. Ob, ast, bad, bahar, chahar, charch, dah, dandan, div, gorg, jegar, mah, naam, pursad, pusht, rud, roshan, shad, khahar, khers, khor, zan. Thank you for watching. Remember to check out the other 4 videos in this series. I really enjoy making these, so if you enjoyed watching, make sure to let me know what other languages you want to see. So until next time, thank you for watching.